The mayor of Milwaukee, Oregon, Mark Gamba, is a progressive. He's running against a corporate Democrat here in Oregon in the primary. Had some thoughts about mayors, about progressives versus corporate Democrats. Just some fascinating stuff. Check this out. Leave your comments, ding the bell, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. On the line with us is Mark Gamba. He is the mayor of Milwaukee, Oregon, which is a small town, kind of a suburb of Portland or nearby Portland, part of Portland, arguably. The greater Portland area. He's a candidate for Congress for the 5th District from Oregon, which is currently occupied by Representative Kurt Schrader. He's running in the primary against Representative Schrader. He's formerly a professional photojournalist for 30 years. His website, markgamba, Gamba.com, and his Twitter handle is Mark_Gamba. Mark, welcome back to the program. Or Mayor Gamba, welcome back to the program.
Mark's fine. Thanks, Tom. It's great to be back on.
Thank you for joining us. So we saw with this very toxic congressman out of Illinois who just was successfully primaried, by a progressive, and I think across. We just had Congressman Pocan on, and he said that while the party didn't support that institutionally, a lot of members of Congress did because they got how toxic this guy was. I don't think Kurt Schrader is that bad, but he's not a progressive at all. And so I'm wondering how your campaign is going and how the coronavirus is changing how you and other people who are running, there's primaries all over the country right now, how you and other members of, or how other politicians who want to run in a primary are having to change what you're doing.
Yeah, it's a very different landscape, right? We can't knock doors, we can't hold house parties and live events, which had been really successful for us. So we've had to pivot to doing Zoom town halls and Zoom house parties and text banking and phone banking instead of door knocking. It's still going well, I think. We have a lot of folks that are fired up about this race. It does make it harder for us, for sure. He's got the reach of the $3 million will give you of corporate money. But we are still fighting the good fight and have more volunteers coming on all the time to help.
That's great. So, Congressman, you're the mayor of Milwaukee, Oregon, which is, not an inconsequential town. What are the challenges that coronavirus is presenting to you, and what are you seeing down the road?
Well, all kinds of issues, right? We got folks that are out of work that are going to be struggling to pay rent. We've been working with the governor to try and put rents on hold. The mayors were actually the ones that pushed Governor Brown to do the stay-at-home sooner and stronger than I think was going to happen otherwise, and it's been very successful for Oregon. But out of that, right, a lot of people have lost their jobs. And a lot of businesses are really struggling and may not be able to make it through this. The city is doing what we can. We've got a grant program where we're giving small businesses $5,000 a piece if they qualify, and up to a certain number. We don't have an unlimited supply of funds for that. But we know that coming out of this, there's going to be a lot of people hurting, both small businesses and employees. And I actually think that the absolute best way for America to come out of this is to kill two birds with one stone and pass the Green New Deal, right? We put millions of people to work with good family wage jobs, solving the even bigger problem of climate change. That will kickstart the economy a whole lot faster and a whole lot more effectively than giving a bunch of tax breaks to billionaires. So that's what I'm pushing for at the federal level, and the city of Milwaukee is doing everything it can to help its small businesses and the folks that live there.
We're talking with Mark Gamba. He's running in the Democratic primary here in Oregon against Representative Kurt Schrader. When is our primary, by the way?
May 19th.
May 19th. Thank you very much. So one of the things that differentiates towns, counties, and states from the federal government is that the federal government can basically print money and can easily borrow money by selling treasuries because there's just continuous demand for treasuries. I noticed a few weeks ago, I haven't looked since then, but I noticed a few weeks ago that some of the ETFs that were bond funds, that were municipal bonds and state bonds, were really starting to sink because people were concerned that towns may end up going bankrupt because they're losing tax revenue. You were just talking about how many businesses in Milwaukee may end up going under, and you guys are trying to pump money out to them. But at what point, how do you finance that if your tax base is disintegrating and you're having to pay higher and higher interest rates in order to float bonds?
Well, a couple. So the issue that Oregon has, which typically is a problem, is that virtually, I forget the actual percentage, but something like 70% of our funding for running a city comes from property taxes. Property taxes will probably go down a little bit. As far as collections go, they're not going to go down. They probably won't go up to 3%. We need them to go up to keep pace with the cost of everything else. But we're not going to take as hard a hit as cities in other states that are dependent on sales tax. We do collect a little bit of a fee from our businesses, but it's an annual thing, and it's really not a big portion of our budget. Where we're getting hurt hardest right now is actually interestingly, our water use has gone down because a significant portion of our water use is industrial. A lot of people don't know this, but Milwaukee is a pretty industrial town, and so we have some industrial uses of water. So when that's taking a pretty big nick out of our water fund. So we're going to have to do some work, but I don't think Milwaukee is anywhere near going bankrupt. We have been running our city without credit predominantly very well, and I think we'll be fine.
Yeah. I know you're a thoughtful guy and a good administrator, and a good mayor. We're talking with Mark Gamba. He's the mayor of Milwaukee, Oregon. He's running against Representative Kurt Schrader in the primary for Oregon's 5th District, which is right down the road from me. It's a southern part of Portland and beyond. Mark, running as a progressive, the Green New Deal, for example, you mentioned that as one of the things that you've been focused on. I know you've been focused on that for a long time. But even if it passed tomorrow morning, you're not going to have a lot of people out doing construction, because we're still social distancing. What is the midpoint? What are other progressive policies that we need to consider putting into place right away that don't require people getting together? I mean, I'm assuming things like, Medicare for all, doing away with college student debt, things like that. I mean, what are the things that are at the top of your list if you were a member of Congress?
Well, Medicare for all, absolutely. If we had a universal health care system when this pandemic started, we would be in a whole lot better shape, right? You've got we would have more doctors, we'd have more nurses, we'd have more ICU units, even more hospitals. They have been closing rural hospitals for years because they're not profitable, in air quotes. It's the system we have right now is designed to serve roughly 50 to 80% of the population, depending on whose numbers you use. And it's right-sized, again, with the air quotes. So that means that it is not literally designed to serve the entire population. So when you have a giant influx of healthcare needs like we do right now, the system is not right-sized for it. With a universal healthcare system, not only would we have more doctors, more nurses, and all those things, we would also have somebody whose job it was to be thinking about the healthcare of the nation writ large.